time to spill the secrets.
This is Universal Secrets with Tiffany Mack and Kevin Hale.
It's Tuesday night. You know what this means.
It means it's Universal Secrets night.
Secrets. Tiffany Mack, Kevin Hale here on this Tuesday night, August 31st, 2021. Last day of the month. Tiffany, how are you?
I'm good. I'm looking a little shiny. I don't really feel shiny, but I'm looking at. How are you feeling, Kevin?
I've had better days. A little under the weather, but
Yeah.
Here I am. As my grandson says, date night with Tiffany. I can't miss date night, right?
Right. I know. That's what I was thinking all day. I was like, oh my gosh, is he going to be the big baby of the group tonight? It's usually me being the big baby. So
no, you whine before the show, but during the show you put your game face on and and you step it up. But as always, good to see you.
Good to see you.
You and yours are well.
Yes.
What's been up?
I've had a few really good conversations this week with not only some experiencers, but some researchers. So I'm sort of pumped. This is going to be a fun night of discussing ETs and all different types of the paranormal and maybe even a little bit of the government conspiracy behind it. So this should be a fun time.
Yeah, I'll let you introduce our guest in a little bit. He is someone who, award-winning filmmaker, author, and one of his latest books is like right up your dark alley. And maybe, we talk about this show we do, this podcast, how, you're the experiencer and I'm just kind of, I am the enthusiast. I do the play-by-play and you bring the color to our show. And this is a journey, and you alluded to the fact pre-show stuff, we chatting with our guest, how, it's really been the last few years since you've been open and honest, brutally honest, with where you've been, where you continue to go, and maybe, what's in store for you, what else is in store for you. So this is a journey. And a guest like tonight could help, bring some of the, connect some of the dots. So, as usual, we are streaming live on our Facebook and YouTube channels and Twitch. We do have a Twitch channel. The video part. The audio is on ERT Radio shows, thanks to our friends at ERT Radio, Ron, Andy, Bobby, for taking care of the audio for us. Tiffany, as usual, who's hanging with us? Who's of our friends are with us tonight?
It looks like there's a lot of people, a lot of the names that we love and love to see. We've got Andy Morrow, Bobby Burgess. Hey, Bobby. We've got Sherry Trimble. Okay, hashtag Tiffany Tuesday and hashtag Hail Yeah Tuesday, which I really like that one because that's what I've heard for the past 5 years is Hail Yeah on every Friday night. It used to be Friday nights. So yeah, that's a good one. Let's see. Charles Smar. Hey, Charles. We've got Marco. We have Ron. And Ron is standing by along with Bobby in order to cut the recording if we start using a lot of foul language or do something crazy. Oh, you're on mute, Kevin. You're still on mute,
No,
Kevin.
there I am.
Okay.
My bad. Yeah. Do we have I never thought of that. Do we have
What?
a language count? Bad language count?
Not that I'm aware of, but I mean, if you heard my daily language, you'd really be doing the tally marks.
I was
But yeah.
had a conversation with one of my kids today, and I don't know what made me say it, but I said something along the lines that, I do have lines that I cross just to remind myself that I have lines not to cross.
You have to do those under the cover of darkness, or
Yeah, there you go. Yeah. And I
oh
don't
my
want to
God.
know. I don't
Yeah.
want to know.
And there's Queen Colleen, Maria, and Yuffie. So we've got a nice little list going tonight. Everybody's checking in and saying hi.
Yeah.
Tonight you're gonna have fun. We're all gonna
Yeah.
have fun.
Lots of fun. This is where it's kind of going to be educational too.
Mhm.
And as I was playing the intro, man, I'm thinking, man, I put together our little, I say cheesy. I mean, it's okay. The intro's fine. But for someone who is an award-winning filmmaker,
You did a great job, Kevin.
yeah. I mean, our budget is unlimited, so we have a blank check when we do our shows. So.
Yeah. Who writes their name at the bottom of those blank checks?
That's a good question. That is a good question.
Mm.
How did you how did you find our guest?
It was sort of strange because I definitely look online for new alien material. I like seeing what's out there. I still am trying to play catch up because I was not somebody who was interested in aliens or UFOs or cryptids. I was not interested in that growing up. It was not on my radar. So I feel like I'm constantly trying to play a little bit of catch up. So I was looking online to see if I could find something that identified more than, the top 2 or 3 races that we can think of, the layman can think of. And I found this one, the Extraterrestrial Species Almanac by Craig Campobasso. And I thought, my God, you know what? That would be so cool. If I can look in this book and it says it has photographs and pictures, and I'm like, wow, can you imagine something from my nighttime visitations actually showing a picture, a sketch that somebody else drew?
Mhm.
And that's what I was thinking. I was thinking, oh my God, what if I could find where they're from? If people have an idea of where their visitors are from, I would love that. I would love to be able to just sort of process. And that's where this book came from. And it's a very significant number of entities that people have described.
Mhm.
So this is why not have this person on? Why not have this man on who has done all the research and sort of combined what the entities typify? So this was my dream project, my dream interview. So
Well, we're all about making dreams
come
reality.
true. Oh,
So
bring it
without
on.
further ado.
Hello, Craig.
Hey, there you are. You caught me looking at my phone.
Hopefully at us.
Yeah, I was actually following you guys on Instagram because we have your little marks after. So mine is just at my name in case anyone wants to follow me at Craig, I think _Campobasso.
Craig, do you actually use Twitter? Do you tweet?
Do it's really interesting. I tweet things, but I don't tweet what other people tweet. And I have like 17,000 followers on Twitter, something like very close to it. So I just post unique things like today I posted a new saucer, strange looking shape caught on camera from an airplane. right?
I love that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I would post interesting things like that, or things about the movies, or interesting things. I never post anything controversial or political or any of those kinds of things, because I just prefer to keep it all positive. I watch all my friends fight and fight and fight, and I'm like, why do you do that to yourself?
Sometimes I just pop the popcorn and sit back and watch it all play
Yeah,
out.
yeah, exactly. So anyway,
I think Kevin and I had a conversation of this topic last week, didn't we, Kevin? The last time I got kicked off, or was it 2 weeks ago? He
It is
says, "What
probably
did you say?" You said, "Tiffany, stop."
Yeah, I
don't
just
say the word. Don't say the word.
Yeah, you try not to. You just because at this point, pretty much, definitely on social media, you put any opinion out there, and you're already under fire. Half is one way, half's the other.
Right.
I'm
Yeah.
gonna do something. I'm gonna digress a little bit. Before during the this week leading up to the show, Craig, we were chatting on email, and you had acknowledged seeing some bits from a previous show, and you were sharing you had some history with the previous guests.
Yes.
So tonight, Craig,
got Tracy here.
our guest co-host tonight is going to ride along with us tonight.
What a great surprise.
How are you, my dear friend?
Oh, I love you. Oh my God. And before you went to the MUFON Symposium, I was in Sedona and I had no idea you moved there.
Yes, moved here 2 months ago.
Tracy,
oh my
do a good
God.
job of keeping it.
Yes. And
Trace,
you know what? Night and day from Las Vegas. Night and day.
Completely. Yeah, you better get your dinner before 7.
Do you know what? I went to the dry cleaners. I said, I need to drop off these shirts. How soon can I get them done? Do you know what they said to me?
What?
A week on Thursday. I said, a week on Thursday? I've just come from Las Vegas. I have it the next day.
Yeah. I know.
Does that mean that they're just on slower time?
It is slower. Yeah.
The joke is slow donor and not Sedona. Slow donor.
Nice.
Oh my God.
You had mentioned that you and Tracy go back. You said 20 years. So what? I'm guessing you all met in the fifth grade?
We probably met in the early 90s, right, Tracy? Because when were you doing Let's Talk Paranormal? So interestingly enough, when I was writing my first book, and it actually I think came out in 1990, if I'm not mistaken. So we may have known each other before that. Here in Santa Clarita, there was a show called Let's Talk Paranormal, and I saw it, and Barbara Lamb was on, and she was showing pictures that this artist did of extraterrestrials. And I said, oh my God, I need to find that artist. So I called Barbara. Barbara gave me Tracy's name and Christine Dennett's name, the artist, who's known as Kasara. And Tracy and I became fast friends. So I started going and working on her TV show, Let's Talk Paranormal. I would run all the cameras. Sometimes somebody wouldn't show up, and I'd run all 3 cameras at once, which was super fun. And Tracy had on the best guests, and then we would go out to moonwalk afterwards and have dinner and talk to the guests forever. And those were some of the best, the funnest times that her and I remember fondly.
Do you know what's sad is that in this day and age, we are all in our basements. We're all, you know what I'm saying? Like, we don't go on air together. We're not in a studio in front of other people or communicating, side by side in person, which I will say is amazing that we can do it, but we don't get that personal experience that you, Craig and Tracy, had so many years ago. That's
Yeah.
wonderful.
Yeah.
Kevin and I don't see each other
It was-
on a daily basis, even though we constantly are in contact. And I love that you both had that together. That's wonderful.
Oh yeah, we totally did. It was really, really fun. And we would do what, 2, 3, 4 shows in a weekend or something like that. Was that what it was, Tracy?
Yeah, let me just repeat that last little bit what you said there, Craig. You were just chopping up a little bit.
How many shows did we do like per day on a weekend? Was it 2 or 3? Sometimes 3, right? Wasn't it?
Yeah, so mainly sometimes it could be 2, sometimes it would be 3, and we do them like back to back.
Yeah.
Some of the shows, and I think it was on a Tuesday night, if I'm not mistaken.
I think so.
I think so.
Night. Yeah. Yeah.
But it was unique. It was really unique, and everybody just loved it. We had great fun. We had great guests, and it ran for 6 years. And we won 3 Telly Awards for it.
That's awesome.
Yeah. And one of the shows she won the Telly Award for was when I brought Dr. Frank Stranges from Stranger at the Pentagon. Right there. And that one, the Stranger at the Pentagon show, won a Telly Award. You got one, and Dr. Frank got one.
That's right.
Yeah.
So that's on my next Amazon purchase, right?
Well, do you have you can watch this on Amazon, by the way, or on the website strangeratthepentagon.com, where it has I've got everything up there. You can get Dr. Frank's books, all the out of print stuff, even Valiant Thor t-shirts, because people begged me to do Valiant Thor t-shirts. So I hired a comic book artist who did this great rendition and that kind of thing. But aren't the Let's Talk Paranormals is it still on your website for people to watch episodes, or where can they watch those, Tracy?
They can actually watch those on my YouTube channel, which is the Tracie Austin Show.
Oh, awesome. There you go.
Yeah.
There you go. That's really great.
Yeah, they're all up on there. Of course, I looked so different back in the day, short hair and all the rest of it.
Little flips, I remember.
Little flips in the
little flips.
Yes.
Yeah.
Was it the traditional news anchor Bob?
Yes, it kind of was.
Yeah, kind of was.
Kind of was. I might go back there again one day.
Yeah, it's been so difficult for me to cut the hair. I always blame it on the hair. I'm like, I just didn't go for the bob. There's probably a lot of other reasons in there too.
Between now and the end of the show, that one of those images might pop up. Just so
I think
watch out for it.
Actually, and at the end of the short film that I made, we used Tracy interviewing Dr. Frank, where he talked about his first time meeting Valiant Thor, and a capsulized version of the story. So people will get to see that at the end of the short film as well. So Tracy so graciously allowed me to put that in there. So
absolutely.
Yeah.
How would I not?
I know. Didn't we just love Dr. Frank? Wasn't he awesome? Such a beautiful person.
Lovely soul.
Yeah.
I wished he was still physically here.
Me too.
Boy.
Okay. I hate to chop you all off here. I know that the
we have a show to do.
It's a love fest.
The reunion. Put your reunion on hold for a little bit.
Here's a story of a man named Brady. Okay, there's like so many people. Okay.
Does that make me
all
Alice?
Right, I love you, Tracy.
I'm Alice.
I love you too.
All right.
Okay,
bye,
she's not going anywhere, is she?
She's not?
No,
she's gonna hang.
Oh, okay. Good. Perfect. That's
as long as
you guys.
Is that all right, Tracy?
Of course it is.
Okay.
That's what,
Awesome.
Okay.
I jumped on to do it.
So yeah, we're keeping her. We've
Okay, good.
We've
Awesome.
tightened our strings and have.
We told you our budget is unlimited. Craig.
Yes.
I know. God, you guys are so kind.
So Craig, let's sort of break it down to people how you started in the paranormal aspect of your career. What was your sort of beginning?
Well, it's an interesting story because growing up, all I ever wanted to do was work in the film industry. I wasn't into science fiction. I wasn't into anything of that nature. And I started right out of high school. I went to work on David Lynch's Dune for 4 years. And at the same time, it was the same producers. We made Conan the Destroyer with Schwarzenegger and Grace Jones, who I love.
Probably
Grace
my
Jones.
favorite one.
I love Grace Jones so much. And so that was 4 years of my life, and I'm very excited to say that we have the new Dune coming out. So this is now where you can make a movie the way it's supposed to be made, because back then the producers, they couldn't do a lot of those visual effects. It was so hard to do. So anyway, it's going to be very exciting to see that. But then I segued after that into working on Spielberg's Amazing Stories for a season and a half. And at the end of that season, I had, at the end of the time that I was on the show, I had a huge spiritual awakening. Like going from zero, knowing about what is duality, what are extraterrestrials, what is the universe, who are the beings out there in the universe, what are multi-dimensional beings, and then moving out of our little pod universe, which is ginormous, into other pod universes and going into super universes and these kinds of things. So it's a long story to go through the whole spiritual awakening, but it was done through 3 master teachers, and it went over the course of 2 years. The first major part was where they fed into me, like my spirit body went somewhere else where I was them, and I woke up. And they were feeding me golden light that was ballooning into my soul essence. And then when I woke back up in my bed, being fully aware that I was awake and aware and somewhere else and coming back, I never felt the feeling of nirvana in my life. It was the most splendid feeling I have ever had. And then from that moment on, I had my casting office at the time.
Were you early 20s at this age?
I was 26.
Okay.
Yeah, 26. And I had my casting office on Sunset Boulevard. And so all of a sudden, I would look at everything from the perspective of the creation, like the beauty behind the creation of a tree, a plant, a flower, a person, different people from different factions of life. And I could suddenly feel and read their soul history. And I would just start crying. I would cry and cry and cry. And it was a sob that was so profound that it lasted anywhere from 8 to 12 minutes where I couldn't stop. And this happened anywhere from 8 to 12 times a day for 8 months straight. Right. So it was this process that, that actually was clearing this vessel and making it into what I actually came here to do, and that was to write. So the main master teacher came back and said at the end of a 2-year period, during that time I had written a book about all of my experiences, every single one. I wrote them down. I wrote the times. I wrote all the different things that happened, and I put them all down in there. And at the time, I had a very wonderful, what we would call a mentor here, being that was Shirley MacLaine, because I was friends with her daughter, and she read the book. She's so graciously, she goes, just go to my house, go down and have the caretaker let you in and put it, in my kitchen on the counter, right? And I had been to her house before for dinner, so I put it there, and she called me, and, we discussed a lot of things and that kind of stuff. And she gave me some, some critiques and things like that. And then my master teacher came to me and said, what would you say if I told you just wrote that book for yourself? And I said, then I learned a lot about myself. And he said, now it is time to sit down and write the books that you came here to write. And I want you to write and write and write until you can write no more. I don't want you to stop. I don't want you to edit. I don't want you, if you don't know a word, ask us. We will spell it for you. It was that process. I didn't know what channeling was way back when, but in my small 1-bedroom apartment back then, I had 3 portals, one at the end of my bed, one in the hallway, and one in the living room. And ever since I was a kid, I've always been able to see energy forms moving around. So I always knew when someone or something was in the room. When I was a kid, it freaked me out because I didn't know what it was. And a lot of it happened right when I went to bed, because then I was focused and I could see it as a little boy. So when I sit down to write, I could see all the energy forms coming down, the master teachers, and then they would move around me and behind me. And because my energy had not raised to their level at this point, my body would ring with chills for 15 minutes, like over and over and over again. And I would just do my best and do my best. And every day I would meditate, and every day I would do all the right things. And so that's how I got into all of this. And then I began studying contactee cases, abductee cases. I started going to conventions. I started meeting ufologists. I started hanging out with ufologists. I started going on cases to other states. Tracy's going to interview a good friend of mine, Christopher Bledsoe, very soon. And Chris is one of the, I went to North Carolina with our good friend Lori, and he took us, well, Lori had already been and seen everything, but he took me to see exactly where everything happened on the Cape Fear River, where his son was, where the ships came, where all of these different things happened, right? And then as we are, then he said, I'm going to take you to the house we abandoned, because when he came home with his son, his backyard is forest. They started walking out of the forest, and him and his son ran into the house, and they started locking all the doors. And his son told me, with the most fear I had ever seen in anyone's eyes, he said, the house stood up higher because you had to walk up in steps. So from his bedroom window looking down, he said it was standing right there looking up at me. And so he took me to the house, and as he's taking me through the backyard, I had a Minolta camera, and I just started taking flash pictures. It was sort of like dusk, that in between, where it's still light, going into dark. And the next morning when I was looking at the digital photos on my phone in the hotel room, I actually caught one of the beings on camera. And you've seen it because it's the very last photograph in the book, The Unknown Extraterrestrial. So, and that was, I don't know if you knew that, Tracy, that was from Chris Bledsoe case. So, so I, I've just been studying it for so many years and going around. My favorite are a lot of the early contactee cases, a lot of the human cases, because grays and things didn't come around till much later. So, so a lot of the focus in the book is on that, and then other different beings that other contactees and abductees and things had. I've seen some weird stuff from abductees and things that have been implanted in their body. One guy had a whole thing around both of his eyes on the inside. It wrapped around like this. He lifted up his lids, and he said they've got a camera back there. They can see everything I'm seeing. And this man was so freaked out, like friends knew once I got into this, if they knew somebody, they would call me to help them. And sometimes it was just for moral support or to see if I could find somebody else in the community that could, give them some solace or help them out with that. But I mean, the only way to get those things out for that guy was probably to have surgery, and I don't know what ever happened.
That's terrifying.
Thinking
about, excuse me, all of the implants that people are coming forth and sharing about. But I'm sort of wondering, what was your religious background? Were you raised in a family of faith, or did you develop more of a passion for the ET situation based on experience only?
Well, my mother has always been spiritual, but not religious. She was, I would, she was one of the most loving, giving, supportive people in mine and my sister's lives. And our dad worked. He worked 2 jobs. He was gone all the time, morning, night, weekends. Because that's what they had to do to survive, and my mother worked as well. But when I was young, my mother felt that I should have some kind of religious upbringing to have some kind of foundation. So she put me in parochial school, and I went to a school called Guardian Angel Catholic School, and I went there for 3 years, like grades 1, 2, and 3. And then I really missed all my friends going to school. So I really begged my parents to let me go to public school, which they did. We did not go to church. We did once in a while or things. My dad really wasn't a practicing Catholic, anything like that. So I love the sort of iconic stuff from religions. And I myself have gone and studied a lot of religions, or gone and, oh my God, I'm getting like such a download. My head just went, woo, wow, that was big. Wow.
Is it the thousands of images?
Yeah, man, that was a big one. Whew. Yeah, you get lightheaded.
I get those occasionally too. Tracy,
Yeah.
it looked like you had something that you wanted to ask pertaining to the religion aspect.
Yeah, Tracy,
Well,
you're one of us tonight, so speak freely.
Right. Well, it was really just to say, I mean, I've known Craig for 20 years, and he's one of the, I'd have to say, he's one of the most spiritual people I know, actually. And I think it's just knowing Craig as long as I've known Craig, he's such a genuine person and always happy, always positive. And I love that his soul just shines through. Everybody feels it and sees it when they're in his presence. So it was really not really talking about the religious aspect as such. It was more of a spiritual thing that I wanted to throw in there, because I've known him as long as I've known him, and he's such a wonderful human being.
So
really
Craig,
Yeah.
Craig, there was also this connection, and I know Tracy and Kevin and we've discussed a little bit about how there's a lot of military people that are brought into this program and have been connected. What is your connection with a particular military heritage?
Well, and I just found this out recently. So when I was 12 years old, my mother told me that my father was my stepfather and that I had a biological father. They did not have a very long relationship. Something went sour, and my mom said, you know, I just put the door in his face and that kind of thing. Yeah, you know, they had their reasons. I won't go into it, but and so all I had was his name. I had nothing else. And every once in a while, if I was around a psychic person, they would tell me, they would say, oh, your biological father was in the military, or, you know, little things like that. And I say, oh, and if you want to find him, search military records. Well, I don't know how to search military records. I mean, I pop it in, or I will put it in on a site and nothing would come up. And so the internet was a bust. So when I began writing the ET Almanac, I got a phone call from a genealogist in Canada, and she wanted some info on my mother's father, because that's how her and I were related. We were fourth or fifth cousins, she said. So I said, hey, can you help me find my biological father? And she goes, yeah, I can find anybody. And she actually did it through DNA tracing, because I had done mine on one of those sites. And so she contacted me and she said, he passed away in 2006. And this is where he's buried. And so I immediately went down to the cemetery the following morning, went to the front desk, asked them if they had a name of the person who called when he died, and they did. And they actually had a name of a man that had a different last name than him. So they did not have a contact number. So I came home, looked it up on the internet. The man lived around the corner from me, of course. And he, at the time, was 74 years old. And so I wrote him a letter, told him my story, put my picture in there. 2 days later, I got a phone call from his son that said, my dad got your letter. And I said, oh, was your dad a friend with Fred? And he said, no, it's actually his half brother. And I said, oh, wow. So you're like my cousin. And he goes, yeah, I guess I am. So so I went and I met my new Uncle John and my new cousin Chris. And we had 3 hours. And I said, please just tell me anything, and just tell me everything about him. And an hour into the conversation, my Uncle John, besides staring at me with this big smile on his face, because, you know, he said, you look just like him. It is so weird. You are the exact height he was. You are, you know, and he said, I can't believe he never told us about you. And I said, well, I said, evidently he's very good at keeping secrets, right? And so he said, well, you know, he was in the Air Force. And he goes, oh, yeah. And hey, you know, he was in that Project Blue Book.
I mean, they just said that like they knew it and it was no big deal.
Like it was no big deal. And I asked him, I said, do you know what Project Blue Book is? And he goes, well, kind of. And then, you know, my cousin stepped in and he goes, yeah, me and my other brother would try and like pull information out of him, you know, forever.
Hold up, Craig. Hold
up.
Yeah. they enlighten you that he has a connection to Project Blue, but you just kind of casually skip it. That's kind of a big effing deal.
It's a huge effing deal. It's a huge effing deal. So now what he did there, you have to remember he would have been in his early 20s. So my uncle thinks he was probably a paper pusher for a general is his thing. But then I started adding things up. You're going to love this, Tracy. I started doing the math of when he would have been there and that kind of thing, because he probably, like most of Blue Book, I think it was at Wright-Patterson, I believe. And but it doesn't mean there was an office there, because we know that Harley Byrd, Admiral Richard E. Byrd's nephew, was there in Project Blue Book. And I've been in contact with the Byrd family. Not only do I have his honorable discharge papers showing that he worked at intelligence at the Pentagon. This is Harley Byrd, by the way. And Harley Byrd wrote the foreword in The Stranger at the Pentagon book, being a part of Project Blue Book, to discuss the Valiant Thor situation. So I'm thinking to myself, if he was a paper pusher for a general, and if he was typing up reports, I wonder if he had typed up the Valiant Thor report.
You know, there's no coincidences.
I know. I mean,
it's all synchronistic. Not. The fact that you're interested in UFOs and your biological father was involved in, you know, what you've suggested with the Project Blue Book.
It goes along with my family lineage and my heritage as well. You know, my grandfather was in the Strategic Air Command, started in 1947. And, you know, it was like all of the things that I can see now, I didn't know then. I didn't know in the 80s. I mean, I wasn't an adult thinking person until 1999 or
you met me.
Let me see, 2020. Even then it's questionable, folks. Okay. But I'm saying I didn't know enough to ask when I had the opportunity, because he passed away a few years ago. So it's like all of those things that all of those dots that you want to connect, they are in his medical records. They are, or not medical records, his government papers. I mean, he will have them. You will have them. If you have the interest, you may, as a biological son, be able to get that information. But it is something that I've heard before.
But Tiffany, share at your on his before he passed.
Mm-hmm.
One of the last conversations with you. It
was a great conversation.
He didn't give up the secrets.
Mm-hmm.
Cheesy plug for our show, but he did kinda. Right?
Yeah, you know, one of the biggest things that I ever said to my grandfather, and he was in his right mind till the end. He died of congestive heart failure, but at the ripe old age of 87, I believe, 87. And my conversation with him. I had just started this trip and I had just started doing the radio shows, and I really needed to get these things off of my chest before he passed. And I didn't want to jolt his system at the end of his life and just be like, my whole family is freaking bonkers. Like, take me, Lord, now. And so, you know, I went to his bed and I said, Granddaddy, what would you say if I said that I've been in contact with at least 6 different extraterrestrial entities? And he looked at me and he paused and he looked down and then he looked back up at me and he goes, I would have to say you're crazy. And I was like, God damn it, really? You know, is that really what you think? I just told you something and this is what you're saying? I was like, do you really think I'm crazy? He said, listen to me, Tiffany. I would have to say you're crazy. And I thought about it and then I was like, but really, do you think he said, listen, I would have to say, he said it 3 times just to get it through my thick skull.
Right. Because that's what he has to say. Yeah.
Because that is what I would
Yeah.
have to say. To the
Right.
end, he was a man of his word. He was a man of secrecy, and he did his job, and he did not relay it to anyone who was not on that list of authorized listeners or viewers. But I will tell you that he gave me some good moments of closure. It didn't give me very many answers, but it made me feel better, if that tells you anything. That it legitimized my feelings and what I had been going through. And he pretty much said, I said, well, what do you think about all of these stories about the dumbs around the planet? You know, all of these deep underground military bases. It's like, do those exist? Because I really feel like I've been in some of them. And he said, there are thousands of underground military bases that nobody knows about except for the people that need to know. And he said that there are these super fast train systems that are underneath all of our cities, all underneath the oceans. And we don't have any need to know. As of right now, it's not our fucking business. Excuse me. I might have had a few glasses of wine before dinner, Mom. Sorry.
Tell it like it is, Tiff.
I apparently I'm going to.
Yes, you are. Listen, I'm going
sorry.
to. That's okay. I'm going to reboot my computer here because you guys are a little bit delayed.
Okay.
Okay.
Go ahead and
Okay.
do that.
And
We will catch you back on the other side.
Yeah, I'll
Yeah.
jump back
All
on.
right.
Okay.
Thanks, Trey.
Okay.
Let me switch gears real quick, and once I ask this question, then I get to sit back and just listen to you guys talk it up. The your book, The Extraterrestrial Species Almanac, the ultimate guide to greys, reptilians, hybrids, and Nordics. One of the I'm looking at on your webpage. We'll share your webpage and share how everyone can connect, get the book, and all that good stuff. Well, the first sentence in your description, this is the ultimate field guide to the 82 extraterrestrial species that populate the universe. 82. When I first saw this, that number is higher than I had been, I guess.
Well,
You'd been informed, Kevin.
Through your buddies, Tiffany, all
I
your
know.
distant cousins and stuff.
Yeah.
It's 50s, 60s, but 82. Chat me up on this.
Well, first of all, the parameters I was given by the publisher, which is Redwell Weiser / their imprint for MUFON books. I think I was the 5th MUFON book, right? And then right after me, Kathleen Martin had hers come out, captured, right? So I had to have the book come in under 300 pages. All they wanted was a thumbnail review of the extraterrestrial races. And I thought, well, how many can I put in? Because I've researched so many. So I had to leave a bunch out. And I thought, what number should I come up with? So I was listening to Paul Hellyer, the former Canadian Minister of Defense. And
just recently passed within the past few weeks.
Yes, exactly.
Mm-hmm.
And I was just a big fan of his, and I heard him say in one of his last talks that he knew personally of 82 races visiting Earth. So I thought, well, let me honor him. Let me see if I can get 82 races in, and for it to come under. I had a lot more stuff in the back of the book for information for people. And so I had to lose a lot of that information there so that I could keep that number of 82 also in the book. Look, there are countless races out there, sub-races, hybrids upon hybrids upon hybrids upon hybrids of all different kinds of things. And, you don't even have to be a hybrid in body. You could also be a hybrid in consciousness.
That's a
Right?
good point.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
Way to throw the whammy at me.
Yeah. Well, think about it. Really, if you think
Mhm.
about it, that's a pretty powerful statement right there. So in doing all of my research and things with everything, like what I did was with the book is I went back to a lot of those original contactee cases where people were meeting with these beings face to face, and then people would help them to write a book about it. Colonel Wendell Stevens did 65 of those contactee books in his lifetime. Can you believe that? Isn't that amazing? So
Crazy. Yeah.
so
Crazy.
I contacted his estate and was able to obtain the books that I wanted to include what information. So let's say if you're reading about the Clermers and you want to know more about them, you can go to the back of the book under further reading, and it will tell you the name of the book and the authors of the book, one of always which is Wendell Stevens. And then it will give you the place where you can buy that book, which is ufophotoarchives.com. And all of those books now are in PDF format, right? So you can get them on the website right there in a PDF. You could find them online, but the thing is that they're going to cost a fortune. Like a fortune, because they're old books. So, and then other things that I researched is I actually went to real hybrids. And,
do you know what I find amazing?
What?
What I find amazing is I spoke a number of years ago, Bob Dean, and Bob Dean suggested that back then, when he was a member of the SHAPE headquarters, there were 52 alien races coming here back in the 1950s, 1960s. And so there's 30 more today that you write about that we didn't know.
Right. And there's still more there's still more that I had researched, but I couldn't fit them all into this book because I had to come in under 300 pages. Right.
So that gives you leeway for book 2.
It does. Yeah, it does. As a matter of fact. So, and a lot of people have been contacting me and telling me about different races that they're in contact with, and unique races with different patterned skins and things like that. Like, for instance, Dr. Frank told me once when he was on the Starship with Valiant Thor that he saw a lot of the universal races and that there were many different colors of skin besides the ones on Earth, like violet and blue and this and that. And he said, but there were 2 unique ones, one of them being that this race's skin was zebra patterned, right? It wasn't fur, but it was zebra pattern. I never told anybody that because I thought, well, that's a little out there. But look, who am I to say?
It's all out there.
It's I mean, who am I to say?
That's right.
And then I'm
well, actually, the entities from or the aliens from Avatar had sort of a zebra type stripe.
I was just thinking of that, Tiff.
Well, they did, but what was interesting, I was doing a radio show with my friend Tom Dongo, and he said, oh, I was talking to Linda Moulton Howe, and she was telling me she was in contact with a contactee who is in contact with these beings who had a zebra patterned skin.
Interesting.
So there we go. Right?
Wow.
Yeah.
Let me pump the brakes real quick, and we're gonna definitely come back to your book. But you touched on something, Craig, about you mentioned hybridization.
Yeah.
Tiffany, you share the story, so we can definitely talk about it. I don't know, you guys are familiar with a documentary that came out a couple years ago. It was part 2 of a series, Extraordinary, the Seeding.
Yes.
Yeah. Well,
yeah, I know it well.
Okay. This is more one up you on how well you knew it or know it. Tiffany was approached to be one of the featured guests on there. So Tiffany, segue real quick. Let's touch on that because this can, again, this is your journey and we're going to get answers.
Thank you for serving me up. Ching, ching. She's ready. Like I said, I've already had some wine tonight, people. So maybe in for story
I got your
time.
back. I always have your back, Tiff.
So Extraordinary, the Seeding. So Jack Roth came to me along with Chase Kletsky back in 2016, I believe, to discuss the fertility aspect and hybridization program that is sort of running rampant among AT experiencers. And probably has been going on for thousands of years. We haven't put a term to it, and we haven't really tried to discuss it openly before. I was approached because there were situations where I feel that I had been pregnant, even though I was supposed to be pretty much infertile. There was no place to implant any kind of embryo inside of my uterus. It was too scarred. There was too many adhesions. And when they went in and did the surgery, my gynecologist said, I was 26 years old. It was August 23rd of 2006, I believe. So I had the surgery. And when I came out of the surgery, my mom and my dad were there with me. And since I was about 19 years old, I'd had such really bad endometriosis that they had told me at 19 I would never have kids. Well, to back that up, I ended up having this surgery at 26, and it was it's heart-wrenching. I thought that I would come out of the surgery being like, yay, everything's cleaned out, everything's fine, you're all good to go. And instead, what I got was my gynecologist, who was a woman that I'd known. I'd been seeing her since I was 15 because of my problems. And she told me, she said, this doesn't look right. She said, how many abortions have you had? And of course, I'm a little Catholic girl. And I'm like, what in the world are you talking about? And it was just traumatizing. And I mean, I'm bawling and my mom is bawling. We're like, what the hell are you talking about? There's never been an abortion. I've never been pregnant. You told me I could never get pregnant. And so from that point on, she said, it looks like you've had a dozen abortions. And she said, you're so scarred up. There is no place to implant. After this procedure, we've pretty much, cleaned you out, cut you out. It lasered. They did everything that they needed to do. And she said, after healing from this, you're not going to have any place. So knowing that I'd had some situations, I had felt odd. I had felt like I was pregnant, tender breasts and having hormone ups and downs and, just these crazy things that you know of when you're starting to have pregnancy symptoms. And then they'd be gone and there would be nothing. And so I had actually approached people at KJRA back in 2016 if I could do a show on this topic. And I was told that it was not appropriate to discuss these kinds of things. And I'll just leave it at that. So
Wow.
publicly, I wasn't allowed to discuss this, and it was not a topic to be discussed. But later, people came to me to get my testimony. And of course, at that time, I was going through a divorce, and I said, I can't tell any of my story. I mean, I can share it with you, but I can't be on anything with my name and face. It's just not possible. I've got 2 kids in Catholic schools. And, there's life situations. People can lose jobs over this type of information. This is not something that you should release to the public without some grain of restraint, because it depends on your lifestyle. There's a lot of things that this could ruin for you. And, after I finally got divorced and I remarried, and I'm married to a great guy who's also into the paranormal. He, researches Bigfoot. I could finally come clean, and I had that support system that every experiencer needs. I had somebody that was going to listen to me and actually would experience those things with me, those visitations with me, and walk me through it. And we would talk openly at night while I'm experiencing this. I'm telling them what they look like. I'm telling them where they are, telling them how large they are. Is there a smell, sound, light, and all of those things. And I finally was able to get to a point where I was like, I need to help other people who have gone through this situation in their life, who have not been able to come forward for fear of persecution, the stigma that goes along with this in the real world, which is not the UFO world where everybody works. Totally different. You have to be, willing to accept the negative downfall. So people like Tracy, who were sharing these stories, are like my heroes. Craig, you're amazing, giving up all of this information and showing us the way. It's uplifting. It literally lifts a weight off of people like me who have had to go through things in silence for so long. So, it's
right.
It's part of our testimony, people. This is what we are here to do. It's not to make a fortune. I mean, it's really to put it out there for people to grow and people to understand that there are strange things that are involved in our lives, our private lives, our quiet lives, our everything that's going on behind the door. And that is just as important as the face that you put on and the life that you live outside of that.
That's right. That is beautiful. Thank you
I've
for
come across
sharing that.
Similar people with the same stories as you, Tiff.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. I have as well. And like in the early 90s, a manager called me and said, one of my actresses suddenly became pregnant. I know you're into this whole UFO phenomenon. And she did not have sex with anybody. And between 2 and 3 months, she woke up one morning and she had gotten through the doctor that she was pregnant. And then all of a sudden, the baby was gone, and she had discharge on her nightgown and in her bed. And so I counseled her, and we are still best friends today, but anyway, it happens to a lot of people, and it only happened to her once, right? And really her story is that, she had come here to help raise consciousness through the whole Starseed program and things like that. And her husband, her mate back home, wanted to have a part of her back there. And so this was arranged. And it's interesting because it also corresponds with Elizabeth Clarer's story, who's in contact with the Clarion beings, who are in the book, by the way. And we have real photographs of a male and female Clarion, not from the Elizabeth Clarer case, but from the Maurizio Cavallo case in Italy. Here, I'll show you a beautiful color picture of Nelfa. This is Nelfa.
I love that.
Yeah, and she deals with astrobiology and chronoastronomy dimensional. So look how beautiful she is.
Beautiful.
I mean, they're like these living dolls, right?
Craig, I'm going to ask for your forgiveness here, but
Sure.
I have to ask: is there an online, or is there a link that I can go to that I can share, and we can get this during the show, that images from your book, or just general species images that you would recommend? Ideally, if it was something on your page, I would just.
Well, on my autobiography of
I've got
et.com, there's beings, there's pictures of all the beings from those books. From the ET Almanac, there are some posted on the Amazon page if you scroll down.
Here, this is your page, yeah. So
that's my page there. So
Silence of the Hams.
Yeah, that's that's me. ETs and filmmaking. Look at that.
Such a badass. That's so cool.
Yeah. So so if people want to buy it off my website, I will autograph them and personalize them for them. So
nice.
They can just do it with one click, or the Autobiography of an Extraterrestrial books are on the front cover, all 4 of them. They can buy all 4 books with one click, or start with book 1, however they want to do it. So, but some of the, I'm just trying to think if I had some.
I'm going to send a few of them to him.
Yeah.
Okay.
There we go.
Shitty I can also host of me.
I know. Should have thought of that before and sent you some images beforehand. But here's the clarions. That's Sewell at the top and Nelfa on the bottom.
I have a question for you.
Yeah.
I want to know, there seems like there's a lot of reptilians. Is there a belief that they're all negative, or are there some that are, benign beings?
It's just like in the human races across the universe. There are some that are negative, some that are neutral, some that, and most are positive, right? In the fractions of, if you're going to break down races, and the same comes with reptilian beings. There are very benevolent reptilian beings. There are different kinds of reptilian beings. Some of them that have even gotten a little more human have hybridized themselves with more human DNA to get more into our consciousness, because humans really have the capability of ascending into the next dimension, where a lot of negative beings and things like that do not have that capability. That's why humans are so sought after. So doesn't mean that a reptilian can't. Of course they can. It's just changing your consciousness. So I have heard like the seeding, for instance, there, some of one of the girls, Geraldine, she had I think reptilian
partner.
Yeah, exactly. And thank you for that, because I was trying to think of the right word. And it's interesting, some of the other people that I've heard of that and in gay and straight relationships, that people are here on Earth are having physical relations with reptilians. Some are male, some are female, and some are male. And I've met a lot of different hybrids, some that do have some reptilian in them, spliced in along with a lot of other races, and some that might have a little bit more, so they're a little more aggressive in their real life, and they say that they are also part reptilian. So, But then, you start getting into the other faction of the negative reptilians who are trying to upset the beings that have come here to help raise consciousness, to upset their missions, if you want to call them that, by injecting thoughts and bad dreams and different kinds of things. Everybody has different experiences. I've talked to very advanced beings where even the son and the father were having terror nightmares of the same reptilian chasing them and hunting them down. And they are very advanced beings here on Earth, like super advanced, like super smart. So it's an interesting topic in making, as I told you guys before we started, I'm right now making the ET Almanac into a documentary. And what we're going to do is it's going to be an extension of the book. So we're going to have, both sides of the stories with the different races, like the reptilians, because a lot of people really need to know more. I really want to learn and know more. I've learned a lot. I've spoken to a lot of people who have been on craft, who said that they have seen, they have seen recordings of the Reptilian Wars or the Orion Wars or things of that nature. And the other race that is just a total enigma to me are the Mantis beings. And I actually found a Mantis hybrid. And it was one of the most fascinating interviews that's going to be in the documentary, because there were stuff in there that I had no idea. Right? So have you had things with Mantis, Tiffany, from that smile?
Well, let's just say that they have abducted us over and over. And by abducted, by abducted, I mean they are part of our daily life. My daughters and I have hand raised maybe, I don't know, 75 over the past few years. And we've had thousands.
And they all have their own name.
Every one of them has names, and believe me, it gets tough when they start looking all the same. But you can't identify. You can see some little bitty identifying marks. I'm going to send one to Kevin if he can upload these pictures.
Oh, I would love to see it.
So I mean, the Mantis are sort of, I feel like they're my familiars. Like, instead of it being a kitty cat, I really do feel like these are,
yes,
they're sent to us in some way. And
they are.
It's their involvement in our life. It's just a constant reminder that we can connect to other beings, even though they are tiny or magnificently large and bigger than what we can imagine. Our brains are small. We are small beings. We are small humans in the grand scheme of things. I mean, there are other taller sort of human-like entities. And so yeah, when it comes to the Mantis, I really have a fondness for those creatures. And you know that they're the only insect that can actually hear?
Oh, wow. I didn't know that. Wow.
Yeah.
That's crazy. Amazing.
It's not from like ear holes. It's like an organ in their body
that they can hear. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I've had with in the early days when I was going to have a visitation, a mantis would be over my door outside and would be there for 3 days and would not move. And then I knew that night would be the night that I would have a visitation, right? And once in Sedona, I was having a visitation with my eyes closed. This is the time when I was doing a lot of writing. I was hooked up to so many different consciousnesses. My head was about to explode, so I went to Sedona to let my mind at ease, and I felt this energy come into the room, and I could feel it moving around the room, and it helped to relieve all that tension in my mind. And so I was very grateful for that. And I went to take a shower. When I came back, laying perfectly on my pillow was a praying mantis.
Which probably doesn't normally happen.
No. Yeah. No.
In my house, it could, because I forget to put them away.
Yeah. Yeah. And then once when I was doing a conference in Mount Shasta, I was not in the best of hotels they put me in. And so I was a little concerned. But the minute I got there and got my room, it had sort of like a block that had the number that was on the door. And a praying mantis came and stood at the top of the block for the entire time that I stayed there and never moved. So I said, because to me, it was like a form of protection.
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree.
So, yeah. So, we get all these little signs and things like that. So,
Kevin, did you see the praying mantis that I sent you? There's 2 of them or 3.
One of like 20 images you just sent me.
Yeah, down at the bottom, look through all of it. I'm going to ask a question.
I'm gonna add them, but just give me a moment.
Goodness, Lane. I'm going to ask you a question then. This is from Ufology. Craig, are you aware of any species that have more than 2 genders? Oh, what a fantastic! I've heard of hermaphrodites, but more than 2 genders.
Well, there's wow. Okay, this is interesting, and if people want to hear it, I find it fascinating, like how the creation creates, right? Like we know even in our animals that males and males can create a baby, right? Or they can shift or change their sex. Some that are androgynous have they have like round cups.
Is it dimorphic? No.
I don't know what it is, but they can sort of cup together, right? Some races, when they're androgynous or hermaphrodite, and this is in a sort of one of the gray races, they have a vagina, but within the vagina, they have a penis. And so if one wants, they can either both copulate, or one could, or what have you.
It's not that surprising. There's frogs that do that.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, it's
right.
It really is totally fascinating, I think, in that respect. And that I don't know, I've not heard of a third gender, but I would tell you, because of the creation being the creation and the way that we all think and everything is created, I would not be surprised if there is something somewhere else in this universe or in another universe, because you have to remember, everything is about experience. The creation created the creation for experience. We are all the experiencers. We're the co-creators. So when you get into the more of the celestial realms and into the creator gods and things like that, they can create things to start new worlds. Like when worlds are coming up and they're forming, when a world is ready, those, I call it the angelic core, decides this is what these beings will learn on this planet, and this is what this will be the curriculum of light that we set up there. And so we will make these beings like that. Now, I do know that in some places, some beings are extremely beautiful, but they're not intelligent, like really intelligent. So they do not menial things, but they're more into art and into that type of stuff. There are others that are beautiful that are super intelligent. But a lot of things, as we know, when you mix like extreme beauty and extreme intelligence, you start creating
Like
a
present
concoction
company here.
for
You're starting
ego.
to lose me.
For
You're starting to lose
ego.
me, Craig.
Oh.
Tracy and Tiffany, looks and brains right here. This is who you're
Starting
describing.
to
I
lose
got it.
me. I'm sorry. I think you're breaking up.
Yeah. So, but you know, these were things that were actually talked about in the Urantia book, right? About different races and things that are out there in the universe. So nothing that I have from personal experience, but it's just interesting to know and to read as much as possible. Whether you believe it or not, it doesn't really matter. You're expanding your consciousness. You're opening your world to see what else is out there, what else could possibly be, and in that kind of, in those kind of realms.
Trace.
I have a question for you, Craig. I wanted to get your thoughts on this, or even you, Kev or Tiff. Dr. Stephen Greer, I heard Dr. Stephen Greer some time ago on Coast to Coast, and he said, I hope I get this the right way around, interdimensional beings are extraterrestrial, but not all extraterrestrial are interdimensional beings.
That sounds like
You kind of have to think about that for a moment, don't you?
Yeah.
Do you agree with that?
Yes, because it depends on the evolution of that extraterrestrial or of that human, of us. So let's say if we are like if our other self before we came here, right? Because I'm huge into the whole Starseed program. That's what my books are about, the Autobiography of an Extraterrestrial, because Tehran is the head of the Starseed program there, coming into Earth. So let's say if you came from Arcturus, the Pleiades, Sirius, you're going to be a very advanced soul, or from Vega, or from Lyra. You're going to be a very, very advanced soul. You could be multi-dimensional, right? So sometimes, but it depends on some beings that could be up into the light realms have been called back to come back down into the lower realms to help worlds, because they were very strategic when they were in those worlds of helping them overcome duality, helping them overcome wars and ego and all of that. So they can step their energy down and then re-enter into a reincarnation cycle as well. And what they would do is take just a portion of that higher soul, maybe from the 12th dimension, and it would incarnate here. Just like if a Pleiadian was coming to Earth, they would only take a portion of their soul to incarnate on Earth, because that whole soul cannot incarnate into a dualistic baby body, because there's not enough energy to hold it. So that's why over time, the Starseed program and through the Starseed alignment, which is all the enlightened extraterrestrials, help to all of the Starseeds to raise their consciousness on a time capsule kind of lineage. Mine went really fast. I went from 0 to 102 years, right? And some people, it's a more gradual thing. I've seen kids have a spiritual awakening and become these brainiacs. I've seen somebody 20 years old. I was 26 when it happened to me. I have one of my dear friends, he was 50 when it happened to him. So the thing is when we have in raising consciousness, that soul has to stay on their timeline. So once you kind of become awakened, it's sort of like, and I'm sure you all will get this, is that you felt an urgency to learn more, to groom yourself to be a better person, to work through your karma, if you had any, to deal with all those issues, and to work from your heart and not your mind, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you become a heart-based person. And then what do you see? Extraterrestrials only visit, enlightened extraterrestrials only visit heart-based people, right? This is why we are having lots of contacts in South America. We're having lots of contacts in Italy and in those countries, because in poorer sections of the world, those people are so heart-based because they're so grateful to have something,
Mm-hmm.
right? And but a heart-based person, of course, can be anywhere, but that's where a lot of the intentions and those kinds of things are going there. But I have a feeling things are going to start breaking open more. It's really gotten to the point where I think everybody's just ready to hear it, to see it, right? And that kind of thing.
I think you're right.
And yeah. I mean, I know I am.
Yeah.
I think it would be fascinating.
Right.
So
We took a few pictures from your book, and I wanted to pull them up and just sort of get maybe a little bit of an idea of who these entities are and if you've had a personal experience with them. The first one that I'm going to bring up is one that has visited me, and it shook me to the core the first few times, and then eventually I realized that he's more like a overgrown puppy than anything else. Not playful, but not as harmful as I thought. So this is the Draconian
right.
Male.
The Draconian
Tell us a little bit about that
males.
one.
Well, the Draconians, they come from Dracos, from Orion. They're a very aggressive race. Now, again, there are Draconians, Reptilians that are a part of that system, that when they don't want to be a part of it, they leave, just go off somewhere else and live their life. So we're just talking about a fraction, and this is where their home worlds are, right? So I obtained the information from people who were actually having experiences with them. And so a lot of it is aggressive behavior. This could be a 5-part docu-series on the manipulations on Earth, as all of us know, because we've heard all of those stories, which is too long to go into here. But people can definitely seek it out online by just sort of typing in the Orion Wars and reading, a little bit more about those kind of things. Didn't Barbara Marciak talk about that? Is that how you say her name?
I'm not sure. Not
Marciniak?
familiar.
Yeah. So, yeah.
There is the next one that we're going to see is, I think, more of a negative entity as well.
Yeah, there's fractions of renegade Pleiadians as well, who really more are going for they're totally service to self. They want everything for themselves, and they will go to any extremes to also get it. They also sort of, what's interesting here with them is some of them actually link in reptilian DNA into some of their own bodies. Although they hate the reptilians, they work closely with the reptilians as well.
Well, we can do that in life and politics.
Yeah.
And if I could just say something here also to the reptilian picture that you just showed, being in Sedona.
This one? Or the first one?
No, the reptilian.
The first one.
There you go.
Yes.
Okay.
I spoke with somebody fairly recently when I came here to Sedona who had actually seen one of these reptilians on the outer edge of the town, standing in a doorway of a, I think it's called Le Petit Hotel, right on the edge of town, just as you go, before you go into the Oak Creek Canyon. And she said she was driving between 10:30 and 11 p.m. at night. She'd just come from a friend's home in Oak Creek Canyon, driving by herself. She was coming back into town, past this little petite hotel, as it's called, and there was a reptilian being standing in the doorway, leaning against the front doors of the hotel, and it was backlit with a light around the reception desk. And she said, I couldn't believe what I saw. The tail, it had a tail, and it was wrapped around to the ground at the bottom of the arch. And this being was just leaning against the door. And she said, I could see that its face was elongated like a lizard, and the top of the head was raised, just like this
Crested.
being in this picture. Yeah. And she said, my husband is 6'5". And she said this being must have been about 7.5 to 8 feet tall. And she said it terrified me, absolutely terrified me. She doesn't know how it appeared. It was just there. And she went to see a spiritualist advisor to find out why she had the sighting. Spiritual advisor said, I have no idea why you saw it, but I can tell you that this is a scout. She says, because they're seeing a lot of them in California. And you know, I mean, the scout phrase, well, they're scouting out the area. What are they scouting out the area for? Are they bringing more of their kind here?
Yeah, because they can set up base underground anywhere and they just multiply and multiply. So, yeah.
With these beings, do they have a way of cloaking their true persona or their true identity? Or is it, this is what you are, this is what you see, this is what you get?
Well, how I myself understand it, let's just say some people say some humans are reptilian, right? And I think if they are reptilian influenced, right, that those characteristics might bleed through somebody who has more of a psychic interpretation of things. Like I know a few very powerful psychics who told me they had seen like a woman's eyes change into reptilian eyes when they were looking at her and they didn't even know her, and that person sort of felt like they know. So that is how I understand it. I think other people have explained it where they saw them wearing a cloak or they saw them wearing something like that. I don't really know too much about the cloaking or that kind of thing. I mean, that's very Star Trek, but you know, again, Gene Roddenberry downloaded all that stuff. He's even said it, right, that he knows that he was downloading stuff, you know, from otherworldly influences as well. So, and he used to go to the channelings of the Nine, which was a group of highly advanced extraterrestrial beings that channeled through a person. So CEOs of companies, Gene Roddenberry, other huge people used to go and hear this group talk about the Nine, and Ancient Aliens called me after they saw the short film Stranger at the Pentagon, and they did a whole story on Valiant Thor and that whole segment of the Nine. So that episode's called The Mysterious Nine. So if people are interested, you can go into the archives of Ancient Aliens and, and see it. And they did a great thing on Valiant Thor and Dr. Frank as well. But yeah, I mean, there's so many different stories to that.
Okay, so I'm going to start with another one, unless Kevin wanted to say something.
Well, you go ahead, because I think I'm going to be a party pooper here, but go ahead.
Okay. So this is the one that caught my husband's eye.
I just swiped right with her on an app the other day.
I bet you did. So the Venusian Female.
Yes.
Somebody's hot for teacher on that one, Kevin.
Venusians. Yeah, Venusians are all love-based, heart-based. Their world, which is on the interior, right? Here's just something that, I'll open it up, but if people want to learn more, they can. It's all written throughout the Autobiography of an Extraterrestrial about how things are set up. So that, like, they use planets like spaceships and use the interiors to where they live, right? So they could have different floors, they can have different things, like Agartha here, right, is many different cities. We have Lemuria, right, which is the ancient Lemurians, which are below Mount Shasta, right? And then we have the ancient Atlanteans, which I believe are below the Mato Grosso in Brazil, and they're called Posids, right? And what's interesting is each of the big cities, they even have one called Eden. And I did a lot of research and got really good information, and some I can't talk about where I got it from. But each of these are set up with a Melchizedek high priest and high priestess, each of these cities. So Melchizedek is the universe's spiritual university. And so Melchizedek masters are in each of these cities. So in
and they look like humans, so you wouldn't be able to, you'd be walking by and say, "Hey Mike, how's it going?" type of thing.
That's right. That's right. Unless they were very tall, because a lot of them are very tall and some of them are normal sized as well. So it's just very interesting. There's an old book that goes way back called The Smoky God, about two guys that went in, they found themselves on the inner earth, and they actually lived there for 2 years and were taken around to a couple of the cities and what they talked about. Richard E. Byrd went on into the inner earth as well. And then we have, others that have been there astrally and physically. So it's fascinating. I would love to just, when you'd like to get on one of those bullet trains and take a tour, I would.
Oh my God.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Okay, so first 4 tickets are right here.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
I'm gone.
You know what? If I can say something here as well to you, Craig, Men in Black. I mean, there's a heading that you have in your book in regards to Men in Black that says belief system. They seem to be unable to think for themselves. And so I've never heard this before, that some theorists believe that the Men in Black came from the 4602D Air Intelligence Service Squadron.
Yes. Yeah.
Tell us a little bit more about
what
that.
is that?
So there's that is part of what Paul Hynek talks about, right? J. Allen Hynek's son, Paul Hynek. And so there was speculation that they might have come from there. But if they came from there, they would have been us in that squadron. But then did people make up over time the looks? Because the very first person to ever see a Men in Black was Alfred. It's either Alfred or Albert K. Binder, right?
Albert.
And yes, and Dr. Frank knew him, and and he is Gray Barker wrote the first book about the Men in Black, and how the Men in Black began visiting him was he had a small UFO group of maybe a couple hundred people around the world, and he decided that they would do a group meditation at one time and call in the enlightened extraterrestrial forces. And so they did this, and part of his saying for them to talk about it was calling occupants of interplanetary craft. It's literally the words from Klaatu, the song of the song, right? So interestingly enough, right? So that's when they showed up and said to stop doing that, right?
If you stop singing the song?
No, to stop calling in enlightened extraterrestrials, right? So
with the whole massive hundreds of people. Yeah.
Right. Okay. Yeah. So they showed up at his door. The second time it was more where they came through the wall into his attic where he is. There's a picture of him in his attic in the book. Right. And they came in there and they literally scared the crap out of him, and he stopped. Right. So then there's all different kinds of people who have had different experiences. I just heard that of a few people having an experience with women in black.
I was going to ask you about that because Nick Redfern, my fellow British mate, wrote a book about men in black and women in black.
It came out recently, The Women in Black, didn't it? Over the past few years.
Yeah. So I tried to add in and squeeze in as much hypothesis of all the different various versions of who the Men in Black are. I mean, the truth is nobody knows, right? Are they extraterrestrial? Are they part of the military? Or are they a fraction of all? Or a portion of some of the various things, which very well could be that after maybe the success of that first book of Men in Black, maybe somewhere along the line, somebody said, oh, well, let's continue this and create our own version of it.
Well, I think that there are many people still doing this today. There's lots of different CE5 groups out there. And one of our friends, Costa Macreas, has the ET Let's Talk community. And I've participated in their contact events almost monthly. And it's definitely something that I usually have more contact after I do the meditation. And for a while there, I would start getting, I would do the meditation. I would get a migraine. I would be, extremely sick for the next 12 hours. And so I sort of shut it down for a while because there was either some kind of, words that were, sinking into my mind too much and maybe opening up myself to all different types of entities. But I sort of felt like maybe it was just sort of a psychic attack after these events. So I sort of shut it down for a while and had to change up the words being used in the meditation to exclude hey, everybody and anybody, come and visit my room tonight. And it's a free for all. Let's go do this. So I had to shut it down because it was a little too overwhelming. But I do find it threatening to people, because if you have a connection to other beings in other universes or other dimensions, that communication could lead you to change your path and motivate other people in a way that the locals don't want you to do. You know, it causes chaos, even if it is a positive nature. You know, it can change up what the plan is for us.
Yeah.
So I have this guy, and I think he's adorable. I want to go over and give him a hug.
Those are the Zeta Humans. So we have what we call the Greys, and the Zeta Humans, which are very benevolent beings. They prefer not to be lopped into that same category. So they prefer to be, because they are from Zeta Reticuli, they prefer to be called Zeta Humans. And let's say if a Zeta, not a Zeta, but another offshoot of this race with those kinds of eyes was from another sector of the universe, they'd like whatever that sector is, and then, you know, humans after that, because they do feel that they are human and they have a human form and a human body and that kind of thing. So yeah, they're very, very benevolent.
There's a question I didn't ask. Do you feel that all of these extraterrestrials have souls?
That's a good question.
Of course. Yeah. Of course they do. But here's what I don't know. And it's a fascinating question, because some of the contactees talk about some of these races, like some of the bad Greys that lost their way and went way and degenerated into not even being able to procreate anymore because they had cloned themselves so many times, right? That they lost their way to ascend. So the only way back up through that path was by abducting humans and stealing their genetic materials and creating these, and creating new babies and things like that. Now, there's both positive and negative experiences in this arena, and which I have heard both sides of the story and that kind of thing. Sometimes somebody could be an incubator and not even know it as well, right? So, and then once they get that back up, and then they start building the chakra system back up, and then if they can get, they get the 7 working, and then if they can get the other 5 working, the ascension chakras, and then those 5 come down into the body and everything merges, right? All the chakras merge, and then they're able to ascend. But then I'm thinking to myself, but wouldn't there have to be maybe somebody in the angelic corps or somebody in that other dimension of ascension saying, wait a minute, you didn't do this right?
Yeah,
right?
I've been holding out, wanting to let everybody get their word in, because I think the direction I was going to go in might sound like I'm a party pooper. But before I do that, let me share a couple things. Joe, being I'm here watching this and find it so fascinating. Am I what they call awakening?
You're woke. Are you woke?
Yeah. My thing is that there's no such thing as coincidences,
right?
No.
We all cross paths, for whatever reason, and we're here tonight for a reason. And as we've said, before, Tiffany's an experiencer. I'm a enthusiast, but there is we're here to be enlightened somehow, some way. So, Joe, yeah, my thing, Joe, keep watching our show and like and follow and subscribe and have this journey with us, because it is a journey.
It is a journey, and look, none of us have all the answers. We're all here discussing possibilities. Right. We're discussing things that I've learned, that Tracy's learned, that Kevin's learned, that Tiffany has learned. And if it works for you, then add it into, your soul archive and use it, for a future date and that type of thing, because we're all on a soul process, and there's just so much to learn. I mean, you get to a certain point, you just go, man, I'm just on overload. I gotta take a month off. Right.
There you go. No, I'm with you.
So,
I've said several times too that if 75 years is the magic number, then I'm on the back third of my lifespan. So I'm more than ever open-minded as you can get. I'm a believer. Not everything that I hear or say, I do buy in. And some tonight I'll say is very fantastic. And I can't automatically say, put a stamp that, I'm buying this. But what I'll say is that in Virgil, future humans, definitely a possibility that the future is talking to us. But you touched on something, Craig, a moment ago, and that I was waiting for the right time to chime in. 82 species, if that number is the number, whatever.
No, it's not the number. It's only, it's just a number that I took from Paul Hellyer.
Gotcha.
And it just so happened to be the right number to get me under 300 pages in the book, which is what I had to do for the publisher.
Gotcha.
I had many more races to put in that I had researched. I just could not include them.
Is there a universal, do they all answer to one person, whether that's God, quote unquote God, or some kind of, authoritative figure in the universe? I mean, because here's my thing. Here's where I'm going with this, is that, yes, do I believe that there's life outside of this world? Absolutely. Is how many species to be determined? But what's keeping them from just announcing their effing authority here? Why are they still in the shadows, if you will? Why do we not know that they're here? And now, Tracy, you mentioned your friend saw this 7 to 8 foot figure.
Yeah.
I'm not saying no. I haven't seen anything. And there's, we've talked before, Tiffany, I'm wired differently. Tiffany's, she gets to have these experiences, and I feel for her. They're in the middle of the night and they're doing things, and they're great stories to tell, but I probably wouldn't want to be her.
I never would have told this story at like a sorority meeting or a party.
This is why we're here. That's why we've crossed paths.
Never would have gotten me a date. Okay. I mean, I'm just saying, Kevin, it's not like, wow, this must be the life. No,
right.
It's a shit show.
Exactly. I get it. But again, it's like, who's running the show here? I mean, because I would just think that to me, Craig, the three greatest questions, and I'm regurgitating these from past shows. Is there a God? What happens when we die? And are we alone in the universe? And I have more than ever believed that the alone in the universe, the answer, the true answer, the truth will get told in my lifetime before I hit 75. It's going to happen.
Of course.
But what's keeping that from happening?
Well, first of all, we know how old the universe is. man, we're such a young race. We're living in a dualistic nature. We're killing each other. We're doing all kinds of horrific things on this planet. We're the babies of the universe. And the thing is that out there with all of these other intelligent races and things like that, if you look at it as they're our parents and they are raising the consciousness on this world through starseed programs, through the crystal children, the indigos, different things of that nature. There are curriculums of living light program that come in actually through encoding it in light. And that can also be the sun. It can be moonlight. It can be sent directly to an individual of that sort. They haven't landed on any lawns because they're waiting for us to catch up to their consciousness so that we can rejoin that universal society and become one with them again, right? Now, of course, we have the negative factions that are fighting them and are fighting individuals here in their minds, psychic attacks, all different kinds of things. You know, I have a friend who does amazing, like high spiritual work. She is literally bombarded with psychic attacks all day long. I don't know how she does it, right? So, so those are those answers, but from my experience. And then the other is if you look at it as you spiritually evolve and that kind of thing. I was brought up to call the universe God. So if I say the universe, it's God. If I say God, it's the universe. It's the energy of all. So I look at it this way. If I want to talk to God, then I go to the cosmic mind. And in that mind is every soul's consciousness. And I can talk to that consciousness and I can immerse myself in it. And you look at it as a sphere, right? And I can talk to other souls that may have gone through something that I've gone through meditation and find answers. And if I don't receive an answer, I will say, bring it to me when the time is right, right? I can also go to a sphere of energy that is the cosmic heart. And this is where this is the love that every being in the universe has. It is the most immense love. Everyone that has died on this planet and come back has said they have felt the most unbelievable love when they hit the other side, right? And so you can go to this sphere and you can be embraced in that love. You can cocoon yourself in that love and regenerate yourself and be a part of it. It just depends on how much you want to do the work. That's
fair.
Right.
No, that's
Okay,
fair.
so Yuffie says psychic attacks can have physical manifestations that demand one's full attention.
Absolutely.
Which I agree.
I totally agree. I totally agree. I mean, it's, I created these little things. This is the universal seal of protection. And there's 3 M's. The blue M is for Archangel Michael. The gold is for the Archangel Metatron, and the silver is for Father Melchizedek. It's sort of like the divine M Trinity. And way back in the beginning, when I was getting attacked a lot, I had to download to create that card. And once I created it and I set it up in all the rooms in my house, all the attacks stopped. And so I have it on the website as well, the autobiography of an ET. But there was, I've heard different stories of people who put them out and things that have gone on with them. And one friend of mine called me and said that his friend had just moved into a house and that there was a poltergeist who was throwing things in the air and catching them on fire. And he was so concerned. So I mailed him a bunch of the cards. And several days later, I don't know, I was just walking out of a store and they had the image, and I saw this entity, this sick looking woman entity fly out of a house, and she was really pissed, right? That she couldn't go back in. And that second, my friend called me and said, Craig, I gave her the card, she put it in, and it immediately left.
That's nice.
And I actually got the visual right before that happened. So, yeah.
So it worked.
It did, yeah. So anyway, yeah, and just lots of meditation, clearing. If you can go to anybody else that clears, sometimes it's kind of hard to clear yourself. You can find a Reiki person or somebody that does energy work or things of that nature. And, keep little nice talismans with you as well. That helps.
It does.
Yeah. Yeah.
And,
Tracy,
and to answer...
Question. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, to answer Queen Colleen's question, does Tracy know of many people in the UK believe in UFOs? Oh my God, yes. And I tried to prove it, and I did prove it by putting on 2 UFO conferences. Back in the 1996, 1998, a local theater in a museum. There was 250 seats in the theater, and we sat every person on those 250 seats. They do.
Wow.
They absolutely do. We had to turn like 100 people away. We didn't have the room. But yeah, it was phenomenal. Yeah, people in the UK, big time. It's just that things aren't as open as it is in the US.
And why is that?
Right.
Why? Before you
is it
that.
just not proper to discuss it?
Or more conservative.
Or more conservative,
Trace?
Yeah.
More conservative, absolutely. And people see things, but not every British person is like me and is open and will talk about it. They're quiet about it.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
They just keep it to themselves,
Well, then what's the narrative over there, Tracy, with us? I say us, the U.S. kind of hogging the whole UAP spotlight since December of 2017. I mean, are those the stories that the videos and the stories that we've that we've talked about since December of 2017 here, are there anything similar over there that's happened recently or comparatively, to what we're experiencing?
Well, you broke up a little bit, so I didn't hear everything that you said, but I know that a lot of people look upon the US as the major country that knows the most about this information. And it always has been that way, that the Americans know far more than any other country. So I think we need somebody we need a few people who are great spokespeople for the UK, just like America has them. We don't really have those many.
Well, you have Nick Pope. We love Nick.
Pope, but I will say this about Nick Pope, and a few people agree with me, having gone to MUFON this weekend.
Oh no.
Nick Pope doesn't really say what's on his mind, really. He doesn't go either way. He just stays to the straight and narrow. You never really know what Nick Pope really knows or what he's really thinking. Now, is that partly because he was once part of the Ministry of Defense?
Does he still have a clearance? Does he still have any kind of clearance level or
NDA,
restrictions? And an NDA or anything that we know of?
I don't know. I don't know for sure, but I know I spoke with a number of people this weekend at MUFON, and they said, they said, we have to be honest. We're so sick of seeing Nick Pope at conferences because he never says anything. He never says anything that's of value, anything that's new. There's no real, it's neither here nor there. It's just very wishy-washy.
I did hear him. Someone asked him something the other day and basically was like, can you say this? Can you admit this or not? And he said kind of the same thing that you said before, Tracy. I can't.
I can't.
Tiffany, can you say that? You do it good.
No, because if I do it, it'll sound like I can't, Captain. Because that's my husband, the
That was a real good
captain.
try, though.
I can't, Captain.
That was a real good try.
All right, guys, we are.
boy.
Yeah, hold on, I have
Oh,
just
you do
a
have
few more
many
pictures.
more. Go ahead. Go.
No, a few more
No,
pictures.
go ahead.
So, let's see. We didn't really get to go through some of these light beings that were in that Extraterrestrial Species Almanac, but I wanted to show off some of my babies.
Oh yeah, I'd love that.
Oh my goodness me.
This is Sunny, and she is a giant praying mantis.
Wow.
She just got her big girl
Whoa.
wings the other day, so we're super happy about that. This is a ghost mantis,
Wow.
and it's only about almost an inch tall, maybe a little less. That's my daughter's hand, if that tells you anything by scale. And it'll get to be about an inch and a half to 2 inches. And then this is our little jeweled mantis. This is the one where when you look at images of praying mantis that have their wings flared and they look like little cartoons with like really pretty colors and dots like eyeballs and in their wings. That's what that is. So those are my babies. I'm going to show those little aliens off. So there they
Wow.
go.
Amazing. Thank you.
They are amazing, but they're not for me.
Oh, not everybody likes them, but I tell people they're not really bugs.
No, I would never kill them. I'd never harm them. I had a teacher in school who used to keep stick insects. And he would walk around everybody. Yeah, and he'd walk around everybody in the class and he'd have them on his arm and we would scream and run because we really didn't like it.
Yeah.
But of course, we'd never harm them, but they are beautiful.
You know what? I've only had one bite me and it drew blood and it was a giant and she was hungry and pissed. So
wait a minute, a giant what?
It was a mantis this big.
They bite? I didn't know they bite.
Wow.
Oh, they're omnivores.
Okay.
They're carnivores.
They're
Carnivores, not omnivores.
Yeah, they do, Craig. They eat their men.
They eat their men right after copulation.
That's only if you don't feed the girlies plenty beforehand. So when you go out on a date, don't you usually feed your woman?
That's true. That's true.
Okay, well, not every. Some people are just cheap dates. They didn't get enough. Okay.
Did she hurt when she bit you?
Oh, I mean, it drew blood.
Oh boy.
Wow.
But she was a big girl. I mean, she's got some massive chompers.
Wow.
So, yeah.
Those are some sound bites that I'm going to probably use for.
There we go.
This is why Tiffany's not allowed to drink, people.
No, you're all about soundbite to me.
I know.
All right, keep going because we're. What is it? But actually,
it's 10:10
for Tracy and Craig. It's just getting dark at your end of town.
It is 7 o'clock.
7 o'clock.
7 o'clock here.
And Craig, how's your bladder doing, by the way?
I'm actually doing good. I had a whole coffee, a half a glass of water, and I'm good. I'm usually like
I've made 2 pit stops.
Yeah, I should be with you.
I want for people that don't get to see the video and only listen to it. Queen Colleen said, "I'm so proud to be her mother."
Oh, that's lovely.
She talks about alien sex, mantis sex, insect sex. Good grief! What was I thinking that this night would bring?
Yeah, speaking of sex, I mean, if we talked about one of those species where they were male, female,
hermaphroditic,
there you go.
Yeah.
I mean, if I hooked up with one of those, they can't throw it like I could say, No, I don't know where I'm going with that. But
I know where you're going with
well,
that.
I do too. But all right.
Tracy goes.
Well,
What, Craig? What?
they might say it's the best of both worlds.
At that point, it's like it don't matter at that point. You know? All right, Craig. You when we were talking offline leading up to the show, you had referenced watching a portion of a past show that we did with Tracy, which we call Behind the Secrets. It's this rapid, though we took time. And
Beat the
Tracy's the first one that we did this with.
Yeah.
We had a good
I
time.
loved it. I loved it. I thought it was great.
Real fun.
we got to do it with you. So
okay.
All right. Behind the Secrets with Craig. First concert.
Moody Blues.
Oh, nice. Tracy, this is where you can we can do an addendum to your bar.
An addendum to that.
Yeah, go ahead. Your first concert turns out to be.
It turns out to be Liberace when I was 10 years old at the London Palladium in England.
Oh,
did you appreciate that at 10?
Oh.
Wow.
Yeah, I thought about it the other day and I was talking to somebody that jogged my mind. I said, oh my God, no, wait a minute. It was Liberace when I was 10, London Palladium. Big fan. Loved it.
Wow.
I would have been there.
All right, Craig, it's 2021. Texting or talking?
Talking.
Favorite day of the week?
Saturday.
Oh, you and Tracy. Tracy was born on a Saturday, right, Tracy?
Born on a Saturday.
On a scale of 1 to 10, and I know because you're a fellow bro, how good of a driver are you?
I am a 10 because when I was young, I was a messenger and I drove all over Hollywood, going to all the studios back and forth to movie stars' homes, to all kinds of stuff, taking stuff, delivering stuff, all of that. So I became an excellent driver back then and still am.
Still am. Invisibility or super strength?
I would go for invisibility.
Me too.
That's the voyeur in Kevin.
Shh, Tiffany. Not some secrets are supposed to be secrets.
Called universal secrets, Kevin.
Speaking of, on a scale of 1 to 10, Craig, how good are you at keeping secrets? Because Tiffany is not.
I am a 10 at keeping secrets. My sister is a 1.
Well, do you know why that's the case?
I don't know. I think
she's not a he.
That's right.
All right. If you could travel back in time, what period would you go to?
I would go to ancient Egypt.
So would I.
I love it.
What are you two Wonder Twins? What's going on here?
Yeah, we must be. Same day we like, and going back to Egypt.
Yeah.
We're both 10 on our driving.
Yep.
Wait a minute.
See?
Yes.
And you both keep secrets.
We keep secrets.
Secrets, that's right.
We're pretty good people, Craig, aren't we?
We are. Dag nabbit.
Digress a little bit. Tiffany, where would you go?
Where would I go?
Our expense, our budget's good enough to send more than one person back in time. So go ahead. Where would you go?
I would go to ancient Greece.
Okay.
Yeah.
Maybe Mesopotamia. I don't know.
Pick one.
I think I'd travel to both within a short period of time.
Okay.
I want both.
Craig, in your line of work, give me a pet peeve.
Excuses.
Ooh.
Oh.
Last Halloween costume.
Pirate.
Johnny, you got the whole Johnny Depp thing going on there?
No, it was before Johnny Depp. That's how long I haven't dressed up.
Respect. Cake or pie?
Cake.
Giving presents or getting presents?
Giving.
Mm.
But I'll take them.
But yeah. Ask permission or beg for forgiveness?
Always ask permission.
Toilet paper, over and under, or over or under?
Oh, over.
Yay.
Brent, that was there. Brent, Kevin, that was sort of like when Brent says, "Do you want to go to Olive Garden? What do you want? A soup or salad?" They're like, "Yeah, which one do you want? Do you want soup or salad?" He's like, "Yeah, soup or salad." A super salad sounds fantastic. I'll take that.
Like that. Craig, what is your happy place?
Oh, being in actually sitting on Bell Rock meditating. And I just got to do that 3 days in a row a couple of weeks ago.
Lovely.
That is my complete happy place.
Very nice.
All right, Tracy, I'm going to ask you, throw some questions at Craig. Do you have any rapid questions? Let's do it.
Let me see. What was your first red carpet moment? Because you've been on the red carpet, haven't you?
Yeah. Trying to think back. I mean, we had, it would have been Dune in London for the Royal premiere. Yeah, back in 1984. December 1984. Yeah. With it was the Royal premiere. It was quite spectacular, and we had a party at Blondie's afterwards, and I just remember like going, "Oh my
Blondie's,
God."
as in the singer?
No, it was called Blondie's. I don't know. The club was called Blondie's, but yeah, I mean, all of the stars were there from Dune, and but of course, Grace Jones was there, and Duran Duran, the entire group. Duran Duran was there.
Wow.
So the original five.
The original five, yes.
And
I've met John Taylor. He's super nice. So.
Wow.
Yeah.
Huh.
Tiffany,
so
you have, or go ahead, Trey. No, go.
You obviously you've known a lot of celebrities because you've been a casting director for so long, and you've worked with a lot of people, a lot of celebrities that are nice, some that aren't so nice. Who's the nicest that you feel?
Well, there's a lot that are nice, but one that I remember the most of being super nice was Burt Reynolds.
Oh.
Yeah, he was directing an episode of a TV show I was on, and he literally, actually right behind me, that's an autographed picture of him right up there, that he came in the office and he gave me a picture that he had autographed to me without asking, and just gave it to me in color. And then one day I was sick, and he got my phone number, and he called me and he said, "I want to bring you some soup." And I said, "Oh God." I said, "Please don't." I said, "They'll fire me." I said, don't. And then at the end, he owned a jacket t-shirt company, and he bought the entire cast and crew jackets.
Oh, how lovely. What a lovely thing to do.
Yeah, he was really lovely, and I got to work with him on another movie. I cast him and Raquel Welch again together. They were in like 3 or 4 films, and
wow.
Raquel.
And not forgetting Eileen Davidson. She's a good friend of yours.
Well, Eileen has been
lovely.
my best friend for like over 30 years. She is beyond unbelievable. I mean, she is one of the most kind-hearted, beautiful souls on the planet. So, she is like right up there.
Yeah.
So
that's fantastic.
Yeah.
Fabulous.
Yeah.
You know, you earlier, real quick, Tiffany. I know you got it. I'm gonna make this comment because I'm thinking about it because I'll forget it in 60 seconds. Craig, you mentioned earlier Shirley MacLaine. She's, you know, that you kind of brushed over. Well, not brushed over. You mentioned her, but I didn't get to jump in. You know, she's got a lot of UFO lore with her. Oh,
She does. You
yeah.
know. You know, the one thing that people will either love or hate about her, she just says it like it is. And I would rather have a straight shooter coming at me than somebody that's gonna mark things up. You know, she studied this whole phenomena, by the way, for many, many years, and had other people studying it and bringing her information as well. So that she could really learn and grasp and you know, all of that. And if you like her book, Out on a Limb, I love that book, and I love the miniseries. When they made the miniseries, I thought it was great. I loved reading her spiritual journey in every book that she made since that book. And you know, she's still acting. She's still out there. She's still doing things. I haven't seen her, spoken to her in many, 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 many years. But
Neither have I.
yeah, well, but you know, she's. I mean, what an amazing life! What an amazing journey!
Yeah.
Absolutely.
God, what a journey! I mean, her movie star journey, along with her spiritual journey, are really fantastic. So, yeah, that's a good book.
What a lady.
I'm
Tiffany,
going
you got it.
to jump in here.
Go.
Do you believe in past lives, and have you had one?
I definitely believe in past lives. And when I was really working on my duality back in the 90s and merging and really focusing on that, I went through many months of periods where I would wake up in the morning and I would actually visually see in my eyelids upon waking my past lives.
Oh,
right.
wow.
And, you know, it wasn't famous people. It was like, you know, me and my wife. I don't know which one I was, but all I remembered was this was a happy lifetime. This was one of the happiest lifetimes. Another one where I was a little Tibetan monk, a little guy, right? Egypt, different things of little lifetimes. And really what that was, I actually went and I had talked to a Buddhist master about it, about the past life thing. And they say that really what that is you are culminating all those lives into this one, and you are merging them all so that you can take that leap into attaining, you know, becoming fully conscious, trying to, you know, really get yourself, you know, up to that point. I mean, we're all still working on it. I had a second spiritual awakening in 2014. I only thought you could have one, but wow, that was another year of intense learning. So that helped me bump my consciousness up even more. And who knows if there'll be another one or whatever, but I only thought you had one. I didn't know you could have two. So yeah.
Interesting.
Okay. Yeah. So this is really from my husband. Should Bigfoot be able to have an assault rifle?
I think Bigfoot is smart enough to evade all of them. So
no, is he allowed to have an assault rifle?
Is Bigfoot
to start picking
allowed?
off the hunters?
Yeah. I would say no, because he's
you
smart.
Would say no?
No, I would say Bigfoot is smart enough to get away from the hunters. So
he's a world champion hide and seek player. Tiffany.
Yeah.
So what's he need of?
Okay, I got another one. Does the early bird really get the worm? Because I'm sort of a night owl, and I'm
Here we are.
just interested.
I would say yes.
There you go.
In your heart of heart, do
Yeah.
snitches get stitches?
Oh God, yes.
I think that was Tracy's answer too.
Yes.
It was like, of course.
Yes,
I
it was.
keep secrets.
Mhm.
Yes.
That's right.
Yes.
Do you believe in heaven and hell? Heaven and or hell?
Well, I believe in tiered consciousness. So I think when we leave this realm, whatever consciousness we are, we go to that tier, and that's where we are. So if we've lived a horrible life here and made people fall into pain, you're going to probably go to a place where that is. And then if you want to work on your karma and really climb out of it, you'll have to take on more lifetimes to remove yourself from that tier and keep moving up again. So that's how I look at it.
All right. Wow, tonight went fast, even though we are at 2
Almost
hours
2.5
and
hours.
30 minutes. Guys,
Woohoo!
I am so glad. If somebody's getting a bill, send it to Kevin. No. Oh, wrong way.
It don't
Oh,
matter.
still wrong
Yeah.
way. Still wrong way.
Oh, wait. No, you have to go. Wait.
What a,
I can't
oh,
I can't
did I,
even do
what I
it.
do?
I can't
Oops,
even
there you
do
go.
Yeah.
So let's see. There he is. Craig, autobiography.
ANET. A lot of people go, autobiography of Annette. Of on ANET.com. And then the ET Almanac, if in the tab, if you want to get that, you click on other books and it's in that section.
What a fun show tonight, Tiffany.
That was so fun.
2.5 hours of just fun
and
stuff.
It totally flew by like so fast. And I'm
It
so
did, and I'm sorry my internet
thrilled.
connection was so ridiculous again.
At the
Tracy
beginning,
hanging
it was,
out with us. Yeah.
at the beginning,
Slow
it was a
down
little rough, but you finished fine. So you must have done something right.
Yeah.
Yeah, rebooting like 4 times.
When was the last time, Craig? When was the last time you two talked to each other?
We were texting over the weekend.
Oh,
We
so
were.
it hasn't come back.
Yeah, he texted me.
Yeah,
the MUFON.
we were texting over
Where
the
was the
weekend.
MUFON
Las Vegas.
Oh,
In Las
that
Vegas,
was
yeah.
that's right. That's right.
Was
Yeah.
No, it was
KGRA
in Las
there?
Vegas.
Was Race there from KGRA?
No, Race wasn't there. KGRA had their setup.
Yeah.
Warren was there.
Oh, Warren.
Oh, no,
Okay.
Yeah, but Sunday
cool.
they were just up and gone on Sunday, so they were only there Friday and Saturday.
Speaking of
yeah.
Sunday, Tracy, who do you have on this
Yes.
Sunday?
Sunday, I have Jimmy Church. On
Yeah,
my show.
Jimmy.
Yeah, so I can't wait to meet Jimmy Church, talk to Jimmy Church. I mean, I've been on his show a couple of times, but to actually ask Jimmy questions and get to know Jimmy as people want to do,
Cool.
I'll just say to Jimmy, don't hurt me. I'm only little. I shall be saying that to Jimmy on Sunday. But I just saw in your chat somebody was saying, ask Craig if he believes in that Israeli guy who bends spoons. I can't remember his name. Uri Geller.
Oh, Uri Geller.
I've got
right.
Uri Geller coming on the show on September
Oh
25th.
my
Oh, really?
God.
That
Oh,
is
so watch the
awesome.
show and find out. Yeah.
Watch the show. There's so
Awesome.
much more to Uri Geller than people think.
Yeah.
Bending spoons is just the tip of the iceberg of what Uri
Well,
actually
you really have
does.
him on next month?
Yes, I've got
Oh, wow.
Uri on. Actually, he was scheduled to come on the we were going to do a pre-record on the 14th, and we had some difficulties, so we had to reschedule. So we rescheduled for the 25th. Super nice guy, very nice guy, very charming, and just lovely.
Well, I'm just going to go on record. Tracy, you've got the Israeli guy, you got Jimmy Church, but look
Who's
who we
next?
have on. Craig and
Look
Tracy.
what a fun crew we have.
Exactly.
My
Yeah.
lovely dear friend
Tonight.
of 20
I'll take
years who I
tonight
love
every
dearly.
night.
Yes.
So good. Tiffany, take us home.
Let's talk real quick. Seriousness. So in less than 4-5 weeks, we have an event called Contact at the Compound.
Okay. Guys,
Let's
just
see
hold.
it.
Yeah, let's hold. Yeah, there you go. That's our
Universal Secrets
Lovely.
presents Contact at the Compound, 10/9/2021. We're going to be streaming live from the compound. We haven't set up a time yet, but we will let you know when to start checking in. We have a lot of good people. We have Terry Lovelace coming in, Sierra Neblina, Micah Hanks. We've got oh my gosh. Jamin Olivencia. Goodness gracious. Rebecca Girasitano. We're going to have Brent Sibley on talking Bigfoot. It's going to be a fun weekend, and we will be sharing more details with you all as the weeks progress. So plan on joining us that night. Hang with us and be in the chat room. Ask questions. We're going to have some fun that night. We're going to have fun the whole weekend. I'm dragging Kevin Hale out into the wilderness with his
I'm a
cute
city
little
boy.
Skechers.
If you would have said this was in August, I would have been like, ugh. But in October, Tiffany, what a fun night. Craig, pleasure was ours.
Thank you guys so much. And thank you for this great surprise having Tracy here the whole time. I love you both even more for that. That is just the best. I can't even tell you.
See, we make connections happen.
It was great when I was asked. So.
Good.
Yeah, absolutely. I love it.
I said, yes, absolutely.
Our audience, our friends watching the show, chatting, commenting, thanks so much for doing that. Please like, follow, subscribe to all of our social media. You can find the link in the show description, our Linktree link. Tiffany, fun night. I mean, it was amazing. So
yes, it was.
Give us the final word. We're out of here.
Thank you for joining us tonight on Universal Secrets. Join us next Tuesday night, same time, 8 to 10 p.m. Eastern, with another fantastic guest.
To 10 p.m. You say that it's...
I say it, and it's already 10:34.
Yeah. All right. Guys, thanks so much for hanging. Peace out.
Bye, everyone.
Bye, everyone.
This has been Universal Secrets.